Howdy y'all, and welcome to another edition of Archeryshack Shop Talk. I'm Jeremy.
I'm TJ.
We're back again. This will be podcast number 7. Thank y'all for listening, commenting, watching, calling us, all that stuff. We really appreciate it. And initially we were like, we're going to do 3 or 4 maybe, just kind of, if we don't really hear from anything, we'll just stop. And I really thought we wouldn't, but y'all have called the shop and said, hey, we'd like to hear about this, and you've emailed us and the whole 9 yards, so I appreciate it, and we'll keep them going. So
I'm surprised they want to listen to us.
Me too. But we appreciate the feedback. We're in the process of getting a better sound system going. We got a mixer and all that we're fixing to hook up, but that'll be in the next few weeks. I do have a number for you, and I'll try to put it in the comments. This number you can call and leave a voicemail, and we'll actually play it as a question on the podcast, or you can text this line and text in your question. But it's not a man number, so if you call it, nothing will happen. But it's 843-560-9898. Again, 843-560-9898, and you can leave a voicemail and say, hey, I'd like to talk, or just say, hey, this is Jeremy, I'd like to know and ask a question, or whatever, however you want to word it, and we'll actually insert that clip or a part of it into our podcast, and then we'll answer it or talk about it. So text us or voicemail would be great.
And we're still working on for the live call in. Mm-hmm. We're still trying to get some bugs worked out on it.
We tested the system this week, and we got it kind of where we need it, but we're going to change some stuff because the quality wasn't great. So we're getting there. This is podcast 7. We got some more guests lined up in a few weeks. And,
hunting season's going on. Most of the people are pretty much out in the woods right now. So,
and it's been super hot in South Carolina.
Oh man.
It's literally been in the 90s until today. Today is Saturday, as we're recording this, October 5th, and it was like 70, 71 today. Mm-hmm. And literally yesterday it was 97.
I think 97.
And every day before that was mid to high 90s. So we're thankful that it's cooling off, and nobody's wanting to hunt in 95, 98 degree weather, so we're finally getting there.
I seen a meme on Facebook that said, something about with us being 95 degree weather, I guess that's how we're going to start deer hunting. It was a guy in his swimming pool in his underwear and a camouflage shirt with his bow. I was like, that kind of, if you're able to do that, more power to you. That'd be the way to hunt.
I don't know about all this heat. It's been bad. We've really not had that many people come in and say they've shot deer. I've seen a few on Facebook of people, our customers, but I think it's so hot, a lot of people hadn't even messed with it a lot. I mean, I know a lot of people have, don't get me wrong, but I hadn't seen but a handful of deer being shot, and I hadn't seen anything super big yet.
Well, a buddy of ours, he killed that big one opening day.
Which one?
Russell killed that big.
True. Russell, he did shoot a big one.
We'll have him on here, but they are the makers of...
Yeah, they make some cool scent. We got
cover scent.
I should have had it here to show it. It's actually sitting right over there. They got a smoke and an evergreen, and the smoke pretty much is just, the deer don't pick up your scent because you smell like smoke, and it really smells like straight up
burning leaves.
Yeah. And
smoke.
Then the evergreen's more of a tree scent, but both of them smell great, and they got a big following here in the upstate. That stuff's like $7 for a big spray bottle. Mm-hmm. I don't know if we could ship it without it leaking, but if you're local, swing by and check it out. Give it a sniff.
Oh yeah.
But Russell killed a good one, and
another guy down here, he killed a decent one. Chuck.
Yeah. He killed one up at the airport.
He killed a good size one.
Bows are starting to release. I don't agree at all with bows releasing early. I think that it should be after hunting season when hunting bows release, because everybody's got their 2019 bow. Hunting season just got started, and then like us, for example, here we are sitting on a decent number of 2019 bows, but now the 2020 bows are out. So now what do we, and when they change they keep the same model but change cams and all that, it kind of leaves us with old stuff that we got to figure out what to do with. But new bows are releasing. We're going to talk about them for a little while. Mainly it's PSE and Bear, and Matthews has released some tournament stuff. We'll talk about all that stuff right here in a second. But I guess it was October 1st, and I don't remember that. There was a day or two there. They were PSE and Bear were both dumping them out.
I think Bear was originally October 1st, but I guess when PSE decided to release on the 1st, I think Bear went ahead and jumped it a day early to September the 30th. I don't know that if that's true or not, but I think that's what it was.
This is just my personal opinion, but a lot of these bow companies could do a better job on social media, because I literally didn't see anything about the majority of these bows being released until y'all were talking about it in the shop or whatever. And I'm like, oh yeah, I forgot that was the day. I hadn't seen nothing on Facebook or nothing. And I know they did put stuff, but if it was me, a couple, 2 or 3, 4 weeks, a month ahead, I'd be dropping little hints every day, trying to get people's, you know what I mean? It's just I don't know. And my other disagreement with them dropping bows in October is I feel like they're rushing the process, trying to get something ready to throw out real quick for next year. We got to have it ready. And then what happens to us is they'll send us maybe a preview pack, if we get lucky, of a couple bows, and then it might be 2 or 3 months until the majority of them are ready to ship. So it's like, hey, here's our new bows. Look at this. We got 4 of them on the wall, and we pretty much can't get any for a while. So once we sell those or whatever, we're kind of sitting in a weird spot. But anyway, I just wish they'd wait till the ATA show in January, let hunting season get over, and then come out with the new bows, and not only come out with them, but be like, we've built them, they're ready to ship, and here they are. And it used to be that way.
Well, my question is how far along are these engineers and developers that coming out with? I wonder how far in advance they're working on that.
I don't know of any other company, but I do know back at Bucks and Bass when we were tight with Matthews, they told me they were 2 to 3 years ahead of at least knowing semi what they're going to do. I mean, I would think most of these companies are, but then you get to wondering, because there's so many companies that'll come out with a bow and it's a good bow, and then the next year there's just the minor, it'll keep the same riser and they'll keep the same, it'll just be the minor little tweak, and they're just trying to milk it for another year. And it's like, well, why? And then it's like, you can almost guarantee certain companies, they'll have a good year, and then they'll have an off year, and then they'll have a little bit better year, and then they'll have an off year. It's like good year, bad year, good year, bad year, just because they're coming out with something cool, and then they're milking it for another year. So I don't know, or even 2 or 3 years. But so let's start with Matthews. Matthews did not release any hunting bows. They only released tournament bows, 2 of them, the TRX 36 and the TRX 40. And I do think, we don't even sell Matthews here, but I do think tournament bows should come out now. Tournament season just ended. Now's the time for tournament bows to come out, and then late December, early January is when the shooting starts. So now is the time for tournament bows.
Well, and PSE, they released theirs at the last ASA shoot.
Yep, I think that's smart.
I do too. And as far as tournament bows and stuff, we'll probably get, later on in the podcast, we'll do a tournament edition.
Yeah.
But with target bows, I wonder how the pros and everything keep with as much coverage as Lancaster puts on and Bow Junkie and all that, as much coverage and cameras and everything that's out. How do those new bows not get leaked? That's what I've kind of wondered that the last few years, because you'll see. I
know, it's like the day they released, Lancaster's got it, and a few people on YouTube or something. And I seen that with Bear. Honestly, when the Bears came out, I first seen it because I got a notification on YouTube, and it wasn't even from Bear. It was from somebody else I follow on YouTube, and it was like, so-and-so's reviewing the new Status Echo, and I was like, what is this? And I click on it, and then I get to digging, and they've released bows. But anyway, I don't know how they don't leak it. I know it seems to me like the reps are a little more tight-lipped than they used to be. I remember back used to a rep a month or so ahead of time would be like, yeah, here's what's coming out, don't tell anybody. And most people wouldn't, but then you get on Archery Talk and somebody'd have the exact same thing on there.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't know. Maybe they sign some sort of thing and say, hey, if we track a leak back to you, this is going to happen type of thing. But The TRX 40 from Matthews is a 40-inch bow, tournament bow, of course. 7-inch brace height, rated at 325. It looks about like the rest of their TRX series bows, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Let's see here. 4.77 pounds, 25.5, 32-inch draw. MSRP is $18.50, which I would imagine a dealer would probably be retailing that at about, what, 16?
Either 16 or 17.
Yeah, somewhere in there. 7-inch brace height. Looks like a sharp bow. And then let me back up here.
We're not a Matthews dealer, so we're just throwing numbers out there because we don't know what their actual MSRP, or is it MAP?
Well, MSRPs are recommended. I don't think they have a
MAP price.
MAP. The TRX 36 inches, 6.5-inch brace height, 334 IBO. Still that $18.50 price tag. 24.5 to 30.5 inches. They all look sharp. I'll be curious to see who shoots what. That 36-inch bow would probably be a pretty sweet lengthwise bow, but they also got the TRX 38 from a couple years ago, and it was a good length too. So I don't know, if I was shooting a Matthews, I don't know, I'd have a hard time. I think that 38's probably still in the sweet spot.
Yeah.
But anyway, they released those tournament bows, and then Bear came out with some stuff, and I hadn't really. We got some Bear books in yesterday. I honestly have not researched these bows yet, and I figure the rep will come by with them in the next week or two, and we'll scope them out and get to shoot them. But the Status Echo, the Echo is a new cam. It's a binary cam that goes up to 90% let off. I think that's what they're really pushing this year.
I think it's from 75% to 90%.
So it looks like the PSC. It's like what PSC did with the Evolve cam, except for don't have that 5-piece string set.
Yeah, it's they did away with the bus cable and just made it a binary cam.
Yeah. Looks like it's going to retail at 1,000, 344 on the feet per second, 6-inch brace height, 33 inches. Looks like a nice looking bow. They went back to the double string stop. This is the Bear Status Echo. It's a Legend series, which means only the pro shops can get them, not the box stores.
Looks like they added a little bit of weight to this one. It's 4.3 pounds on weight. So
one cool thing they are doing on a couple of these bows is they're offering the old Fred Bear camo. So I thought that was cool.
As if you can see, the back of their book is got it on there. That's what they call their Fred Bear pattern. What pretty much every picture of Fred Bear you ever seen, he was wearing that type of jacket. Or it looks like that they did away with they discontinued the Approach HC.
We did well with that bow this year.
And it looks like the Paradox has taken its place.
What's the specs on it?
Let's see, the Paradox is 340 feet per second. Still at 4.3 pounds, 6-inch brace height, 32 axle to axle, 75% let off, and a 26 to 30-inch draw. So, and it's pricing at $499.99. So,
yeah, they kept the Perception, which is that shoot through riser thing that I think what the rep told us was they just wanted to do it to say they did it. They only made like 250 of them. I imagine they're just trying to get rid of the rest of them. They kept the Kuma 30, the Kuma LD. They kept the Divergent, and they put the new cam on the Divergent, the Echo cam, so you can get it either way. But with the Echo cam, it comes and it's 30 inches long instead of 28.
Let's see, I got the specs on it, and it's still gonna retail for that $700, just like the Divergent did.
Yeah.
4.1 pounds, 6.5-inch brace height, 30-inch axle to axle. That 75 to 90% let off, and then 26 to 30-inch draw. And as I was looking through here, I didn't know they had done this, but for any of you out there that knows the Rambo movies and First Blood and all that, he's doing the last one, Rambo Last Blood, and they've actually got a bow.
If I'm not mistaken, and I read right, and I hadn't researched this is just off the hip, but they used that bow in that last Rambo movie, and he did whatever with it. So I guess
he actually called Bear and wanted to work with him, because I think in Rambo First Blood Part 2, I think that was a bear that he had with the exploding
Tip, yeah.
tip.
Anyway, it looks pretty cool. It's got red cams on it. It's going retail for like $900. 6-inch brace height, 33-inch bow. I'm looking, is it? No, what is it? 33.
Looks like it's only going to be offered in 75% let off.
It looks like it's got the same cam as the Divergent does now.
Yep.
I was just trying to see what it looked like. But yeah, it looks like a cool bow, red cams. It's, what speed is it? Does it say?
345.
340, that's not bad.
Mm-mm.
So that's sort of the bear. Oh, tell them about the Whisker Biscuit.
Whisker Biscuit. Trophy Ridge has them now, but the Whisker Biscuit, they redesigned it, and it looks nothing like your original Whisker Biscuit or the Quick Shot biscuits.
We were given a heads up of, hey, they're fixing to make, well, what the rep told us, they've redesigned the biscuit to where it'll fit any size arrow. So in my head, I can imagine some sort of a twisting thing to where the hole gets bigger or smaller. Well, I can't wait to see one of these new devices.
I can't either, and it's going to be hard for y'all to pick up on camera.
Just Google it. I'm sure. Go to the Bear website.
Yeah. Whisker Biscuit, their top of the line one is the V Max, and then you've got the V Con, the V Plus, and then the standard V.
I hadn't heard. It's a triangle.
Yeah.
So if you can't see it, it's a triangle. And I guess you can adjust, the triangle for the arrow size and all that stuff. But
be interested to get our hands on.
I really think it'll work. It's just going to take some getting used to. You know what I mean? And I don't know the prices on them yet. It's probably going to be about the same as they were for the regular biscuit, but it's different.
They're wild looking, that's for sure. When we got the book, and I was flipping through it just looking, and I seen that Whisker Biscuit, and I'm like, what in the world?
Yeah.
It's. And then they've also got the replacement, the biscuit part of it. And looks like you can get a black, flow green, red, and flow orange in those on the replacements.
There's the Fredbear camo on the back of that book. I didn't even notice it.
Yep.
That's pretty cool.
Looks like they kept the sinks. I don't see anything new on those. I don't think they did any new sights that I could see. I just barely got a chance to glance through here as we was winding down.
I hadn't even looked at it. And like I say, the rep will come by with this stuff. We'll really know more here in the next couple of weeks. But PSC, they came out with some stuff. They got, in the carbon stuff, they got the Carbon Air Stealth Mach 1. Looks like it's a little bit different riser. They still got the Carbon Air Stealth EC. They got it in a short draw cam, the EM. They got one called a Bandit that kind of reminds me of a Bow Madness looking riser, but it's got the 5-piece string system. They got the Evo, and they got it, the Evo NXT 31, 33, 35, is that right?
And then they've got a 35 LD.
Okay. I have a hard time sometimes keeping up with PSC because they'll take a bow. They had the Evo, 2010, 11, somewhere in there, 12.
Yeah.
Now they got another Evo. I wish they would quit renaming bows the same thing because it's a mess. But
on the LD, the specs are 7-inch brace height, 35 axle to axle. IBO speeds are 316, 324. And the draw length range is from 26.5 to 32, so that'll open up a lot of doors for some long draw archers.
Here's the Evo NXT 33. It is 322 IBO, 80-90% let off, 26.5 to 32-inch draw. That's pretty much all it's telling me. Looks like maybe PSC's got a little bit on the slower side this year, but maybe it's sort of, I hadn't shot them yet, but maybe it's sort of like the Elite. You know what I mean? When Elite came out, everybody's like, oh God, they're slow, but they shot, you know what I mean? It had a good back wall and all that. Maybe that's what.
And they kept the Stinger, they call it the Stinger Max. Let's see what the specs are on it.
The Brute NXT.
Yeah, so they look like they brought back 7-inch brace height, 30-inch axle to axle, 304 to 312 on speed, 80% let off. That can't be right on this one.
What does it say?
Oh, yeah. It actually looked like that they added some little short draw. It goes from 21.5 to 30-inch draw. Actually, you can get this one in some colors too. Besides camo, they've got Mossy Oak Country, True Timber, Strata, Black, Charcoal, Muddy Girl, Purple, and White.
I kind of thought, and they tricked me, but I figured PSE would have came out with a speedboat again. You know what I mean? It's kind of, we're past the full throttle. The Expedite was, 2 years ago? And
Yeah.
I mean, it's still a speedy bow, and they still have it. This Mach 1 carbon air stealth bow, it's IBOing at 332. Anyway, you have to get on PSC's website. They got so many bows, I'm getting them mixed up here. But
And don't take our words and everything to heart. This is just, we have not shot none of these bows or anything. We're just on our computers looking and telling what we see. So don't take it to heart. That's not how we really feel about these bows. We just, that's the reason why we do this, doing this podcast, is just, this is what we talk about in the shop. And around this time of year with new bows and everything, but don't hate us for it yet, because like I said, we haven't shot none of the new bows yet.
See what they did with crossbows here. You got one call. They got the Coalition, still got the Fang HD. Oh, they cut it back. It's just those 4. And then 2 of the little rinky-dink ones, the little Vipers.
Yep.
Anyway, yeah, check them out. I'll say one thing: the risers look slick on the Evo series bows. It looks like a fat. What does that remind? Almost like an Elite riser, I guess.
It does.
It really looks like an Elite riser. No cage now. Still got that 5-piece system, the string system that gives them all that let off. The way they got that rigged up. It does have a plastic grip now. It's not just bare metal.
Yeah, they added that. They added a grip to it.
I'll be curious to shoot that and see what aftermarket ones get offered. But anyway, so that's PSE Bear, Matthews. I think that's all, as of us recording this, all that's released.
You touched on the PSEs. I flipped over to Bear to their crossbows. They've come out with a Constrictor CDX, and a Intense CD, and then they've got a couple handhelds.
Still got the Saga.
They still got the Saga 405, which for the money, that's not a bad crossbow whatsoever.
Yep.
The Constrictor and the Constrictor CDX are 410 feet per second, 10 inches at cocked, 14 at rest, 190 pound draw weight, and they're running between 5 and 6, and ain't bad looking little crossbows.
Yeah, it looks sharp.
They got a adjustable, looks like an AR style buttstock on them.
I'll be curious to look at some of them.
Yeah.
I really think when Bear, what was it, about 2-3 years ago, they came out with, the Bear X or whatever they call them, series of crossbows. They look sharp. And I didn't order any, but I almost did back then. And I think it was one of the most overlooked crossbows. I think that Saga, it sells for like $300, and it's got an adjustable stock. Comes with a quiver, bolts or arrows, whatever you want to call them, scope. It's hard to beat. We had some bows shipped in from people seeing our podcast and our videos, and thank you very much for shipping them in. We restrung some. We're finally getting to the end of our, I make it sound like we're about to die, but that's what we're here for. We're getting to the end of our local busy season.
Yep.
But after a 2 to 3 month, just hammering away every day, people piling in here and dropping bows off and needing stuff done. They're the last month, they want it done right now, and we do as the best we can. But now that we're kind of taking a breath, we're having some people ship in some bows, and that's worked out good. Had one guy, he said, hey, I'm going on a hunt in about a week and a half. If I get it to you, can you get it back to me? If it was in the middle of what we just came out of, there's no way we could have done it. But we were toward the end of it, and I said, I'll make sure it happens. And sure enough, he got it back today, and he's been real happy. So thank y'all. And we had some arrows ordered, just all kinds of stuff, you know. The best way is either, you know, call us 864-735-8484 and just talk about what you need to do. And then, like, if you're needing custom arrows built, the best way is to email so that we can kind of, you know, because nobody wants the normal stuff anymore. They want all this crazy stuff. It seems like, you know, they want a lime green wrap on the front going to a purple with a special lighted knock and a 127 grain tip and all that. And we can do all that stuff. But if you email me, archeryshack@gmail.com, and tell me exactly what you're needing, that's the easiest way for me to get back to you with a price on arrows, and then us keep track of what we've talked about, you know, because we get so many calls every day. I can't remember what I did an hour ago, much less, you know. So we have for our bowstrings, we have archeryshackstrings.com. We sell a lot of those, and that keeps us. We have an order queue, you know, when somebody orders one, it pops up. It keeps us right on track with that. I guess I should maybe add arrows to that somehow. It's just there's so much different stuff you can do with arrows, you know.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to keep up with.
The cool thing with arrows is we work with one stringer arrow wraps, you know, like if you wanted your logo on an arrow or your club name or your kid's picture, or, I mean, we had one guy a couple years ago come in, he's like, I want my girlfriend's picture on these wraps, and I was like, okay. I ordered them. 4 days later, had them on the air. I called him. I said, hey, your arrows are ready? And he said, man, I got bad news. And I said, what? He said, me and my girlfriend broke up. And I said, well, what do you want me to do? You know, because I could have took some alcohol or something and tried to scrub that off. And he's like, no, I'm just going to use them as my squirrel arrows. I was like, man. But we've put pictures, logos, names, anything you can come up with. I've had them make Budweiser wraps, skull, I mean, anything you can think of. We'll have to order it, but they usually have them here in like 3 to 4 days max. So it's pretty cool. And they give us some templates, and I can send you all those and say which one of these looks good to you, and we can go from there. But thank y'all for shipping in bows, and call us, email us if we can help. Black Eagle is coming out with a new arrow. I think I hadn't heard anything about it other than I seen the specs for the tips, and it looks like it's going to be a small diameter target arrow, and it's going to be an expensive one. That's all I know. But it's supposed to hit, I think, middle of this month or something like that.
I know. I think Hoyt's normally around Halloween, I think.
Oh, Hoyt bows?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and then they'll probably be in line with that for the last little bit of October.
Usually by November we should know Matthew. Well, about the second week in November, Matthews, and then Hoyt should be there. Prime should be out. Obsession, I heard, was going to be November.
I think Elite and Bowtech do wait to the ATA, don't they?
I know Bowtech does. I hadn't heard anything about Elite. I seen somebody post on one of those things on Facebook the other day. They'd called and asked, and they just told them when the time is right, they'll let everybody know. So hadn't really heard anything about Prime yet, but I do know the rep will be coming in the next month with whatever the new ones are. So that'll be cool.
Yeah.
We did really well with Primes. Well, we started with them last year, had a good year. Then this year we ordered almost 3 times as many as we did the first year. Did real well with them, so I think that's going to keep growing. It's what we're shooting. Our tournament bows are Prime bows, and they shoot real well. I'll put the Prime this year, the Prime CT3. I would put that up against any bow out there. It may not be the fastest, but it is a smooth shooting bow.
Mm-hmm.
What questions have they emailed in this time around?
This is a pretty good one right here because you don't really think about this. So, looking to get back into archery, going to try to find a used bow with some accessories. He's on a budget. He's been looking around. I don't know where he's been looking, but he said the ones that he's found so far are 10 plus years old. So, you know, how old is too old on a used bow? I mean, I'm thinking 10 plus years ago is Matthew switchbacks, outbacks.
Still good stuff.
I mean, good stuff. I mean, as long as it's in decent shape, not beat up.
10 years would be, like you say, switchbacks. And actually, that's a little over. Actually, that's a good bit over 10. That's more like
14,
15, yeah. Bear had, I remember when Bear came out with like the Truth 2, Game Over. I remember I was like, these are some nice bows from Bear. And I guess 15 years is kind of where I've still got my old Q2 XL from 2001 or 2, and I still occasionally dust it off and shoot it. Now I can tell it was a 70% let off. I can tell there's not a whole lot of let off. It was only like 310 IBO and blah, blah, blah. But that's still plenty, and it shoots good. But then you go back a couple years before that, and that's kind of, to me, where it starts getting a little older, a little way slower, you know what I mean? So I'd say,
I would almost say it depended on brand.
That's true too.
Because one thing you got to look at too, when you start getting into some of the older bows, they don't make parts for them anymore.
That's true.
But I mean, Archery Talk, eBay stuff.
Even Elite 10 years ago was really just starting. Or getting going decent, and then. But then, like Matthews, they were established well. Hoyt 10 years ago was heavy cam, and it was a little over 10 years, heavy cam and a half type stuff, you know what I mean? And everybody was just kind of like, is this good, bad, whatever? But they really blew up. Darton was the one that started it, but they blew up the hybrid cam system, and that was taking off. This is 2019. Yeah, they were really taking off with that stuff. Around
10 years, 2009. So, I mean, and plus, if you're looking in the Hoyt line, you're getting
close to like the Alpha Max and all that. Those are huge sellers.
Yeah. And then you also, a couple of years in after that, you started getting, what was it, the carbon matrix?
Yeah.
So you started getting a few carbon bows in there too. So
CSC had some cool stuff.
Yeah.
They had that little short something tree stand. I don't even remember. It was a GX cam. And it was like 28, 29-inch bow, and it had them super parallel limbs, and it was like the first bow. I was like, man, this is short, and it looks real good. But that was about 10 years ago. They were the Axe, PSE Axe 6, Axe 7, those were big bows. But yeah, 10, 15 years, you should be fine. But like TJ said, according to brand, some stuff you may want to watch out for. And there was a couple brands that came along that are no longer there.
And I'm not dissing on any brands. I'm just saying
K&K's gone, and Strother I think got sold out, and all kind of stuff happened. And
Parker would be.
Parker's gone.
I'm thinking of Parker, but they're out of business. I ain't bashing any brands, but I just think you start getting that far back. I mean, there's good stuff out there.
Yeah.
You just have to
do
a little research. Google is Google is a world of knowledge, and YouTube, and if you're local, you can call us. And, if you're not local, just go to your pro shop.
Yeah, go to your pro shop. Sometimes you're going to get mixed reviews. You post something on Facebook in one of those groups, but you can kind of weed out some of the stuff. I've seen people post, hey, is this a good bow? And it'll vary from people saying, oh man, that's trash, to that's a great bow, to whatever. So I don't know. I guess everybody's just so opinionated, but.
And he said that he's looking to get back into it, so he's been in it before.
Yeah, so he should know kind of.
But I thought that was a pretty good question, especially nowadays with people being on budgets.
Oh yeah.
You don't want to go out and spend.
We had a guy come in today, and he was like, "Tell me the differences in a lower end, middle of the road, and higher end price wise bow, and what am I going to feel different?" And I just quickly was like, well, on the low end, you're going to spend about $400 for a little package. It's probably going to be adjustable and that type of thing, but it will have some riser vibration, maybe a little kick, that type of thing. It may not be the speediest of bows. On the middle of the road stuff, you're going to be between, say, $600 and $800. You're going to be a little quicker. The bow itself is probably going to look a little more sleek, look a little better. Still, maybe have not as much let off. I mean, I'm going to start, this is just in general, because I know somebody's going to comment and be like, oh, well, so-and-so makes a bow for $650 that shoots like this. But I know. I'm just in general. And then I said, you get up to that $1,000 plus range, you generally have a super nice finish, the bow itself is going to look great, and then according to what you want, it's either going to be super fast or have that super good back wall. You know, it's just going to not have much vibration, that type of thing. So just according to what you want.
There's, you know, in the upstate or in Game Zone 2, which what we're in, you know, our archery season is pretty much technically, it's gone into primitive, which is, you know, smoke pole, muzzleloader. But
I'd be curious for people to comment on this video or podcast, however you watch it. So we're in upstate South Carolina. The way our deal works is we have bow season that opens on September 15th, and then it rolls for about 2.5 weeks, and then we have muzzleloader open for another couple of weeks, and then rifle finally opens. So as an archery shop owner, I'm glad of that because it helps our business for people to only have the choice to use a bow. Now we also have some public land up the road called Fance Grove, and it's bow only, and it is, I don't know how many acres, but it is a huge plot of land. That helps us as well. Now the low part of South Carolina, down near the coast, low country, it just opens up on August 15th and you can shoot whatever. And I've always wondered, how do shops down there, and I know you'll always have your bow hunting only people, and that's great, but I feel like up here we have people that bow hunt because they have to bow hunt, but in ultimately that helps us out, you know?
yeah, I mean,
anyway, I was just saying, comment. I'd be curious to know what other states do. Do you have a certain time that's bow only and then rifle opens, or does it all just open up at one time? If you're not in South Carolina, I'd be curious to know how your season works.
yeah, me too. I've tried to look into other places. I know some places are archery only, and then there's like a week that you can use muzzleloader and shotgun. There's no rifle. You see either muzzleloader or shotgun. But I think the reason I say that is now that, you know, we're actually, as we speak, it's muzzleloader season.
Yeah.
But you can still hunt archery equipment through the whole season. It's not like it's September 15th to the 30th and then that's it. You can't use a bow. You can use a bow all season long. But make sure that, you know, if you shoot at a deer, you shoot a deer, or, you know, you out back just making a little tweak here and there before you go hunt. Always check your air.
Be ethical, you know what I mean? Because we have a lot of people come in on that last week or two before the season starts, and they're like, all I need to do is shoot for 2 weeks. This thing just needs to shoot. But if you go outside and watch them shoot, I mean, literally, some of them can't keep it on a 3 foot by 3 foot bag target. And I'm thinking, in my belief, that's not ethical. You know what I mean? Like, at least get down to a little bit smaller than a paper plate at 20 yards. You know, I've seen people out there flinging arrows all over the place and thinking, there's no way they should be going to try to shoot a deer. Not only can they not hit the bag target out here at 20 yards, but, you know, if they're in a stand and the adrenaline's hit them and all that, there's no way. And I think a lot of the people that come in and say, oh, I hate XYZ broadhead because it didn't kill this deer, I really know that 99% of those
shot placement.
Yeah, they've either hit it in the shoulder or they made a completely bad shot or whatever. I can guarantee you that, because I don't know. I have often wanted, and I'm not going to do it because I don't think it's ethical, to take a field tip and go kill a deer. And when all these people come in hollering about, oh, this broadhead, and it's not ever just one brand, you know what I mean? Like if everybody come in and said, the Cheek broadhead, the Jeremy Cheek broadhead never works, you know what I mean? And we'd probably be like, all right, everybody that's come in and said that broadhead sucks, let's quit selling it. It's always a different one, and oh, I don't think the blade's opened, and oh, it didn't penetrate, and blah, 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 blah. And it can be a different broadhead for every person that walks in. It's shot placement. It is 100% shot placement.
I agree 100%.
And I think even the people that practice may not practice elevated, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
What happens if you got to shoot almost straight down? Do you know what your arrow is going to do? You know, what happens if this? What happens if that? I don't think people practice it, you know. Get up, climb, use a climber, get up in the tree with a little whatever. I don't care if it's a block or a deer. And then also think about, you know, if you're in an angle, quartering or up high or whatever, you know, where you're aiming at for the, say, the heart, you know, you're going to have to change that according to what angle you're at. Think about where the arrow's going in and where it's coming out at. But well, I just think people don't think about any of that.
You know, once you make the shot and everything, just, and yeah, you know, I went home last night and pulled out my bow, and I shot it a couple times. I plan on trying to go hunting in the morning and more afternoon. I just wanted to make sure everything was on.
Yeah.
If you hit an arrow or slap an arrow, or if you get a shot at your animal or deer or whatever, your hog or anything, if you get a pass through and you hit something, you're going to impact the ground if you get a pass through. There's no, always check your arrows. Just make sure that nothing, check your broadheads, check your arrows, your nocks.
Here's a good example. Remember when the Crimson Talon broadhead came out? It looked like a muzzy.
Yep.
But the blades were twisted.
They were swept.
Yeah. And nobody had told me this. I used to fletch my arrows with, I think it was a left-hand helical, my hunting arrows. And before I went hunting a day or two, I went out and shot one at 40 yards, and the dang broadhead untwisted from the arrow mid-flight, and the broadhead went one way and the arrow went the other. And I thought, what just happened? So I kind of had an idea of what had happened. I did it one more time and it did the same thing. So I fletched some arrows with the right helical, shoots perfect. I would have never known that was going to happen had I not went out there and done a little test shooting. A lot of broadheads send a test broadhead, this welded shut or whatever now. Definitely shoot that, but I'd also recommend one time at least taking the actual broadhead and shooting it one time, just to make sure. Because sometimes broadheads don't fly the same as field tips, and that can be we can get into 100 things over that. It could be the insert's not square, the bow's not tuned right, whatever. But shoot it and see what's going to happen before you go shoot a deer in the ass and then don't know what, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Anyway,
that's like we had a guy come in earlier today, and you never really think about this. You never really think about a close shot. Bow. I mean, in bow hunting, you're thinking that 20, 30 yard range. And me personally, I don't even think I've shot at something at my target at 10 yards.
Yeah.
So he had a deer walk out at 15 yards on him. He said it was a little bit too dark, but he said he could still see his pin, his peat, and the animal. And he hit the deer, but he hit that magical no man land spot up there where there was no vitals or anything. And it got me to thinking, well, I shoot a single pin sight, and I know from 20 to 40, I can leave it at 20 yards, and pretty much I'm good to go. A little drop at 40 to adjust with, but 20, 30, I'm good. Yeah. You don't think to take that extra practice shot about 10, 15 yards just to see.
Yeah.
Because when that air comes out, it's starting to arc, so you got to aim just a little bit low. So.
And I mean, there's 100 other things to talk about, like, I'll usually take my single pin and set it on like 20, and then I'll back up and see where does it really start dropping. Like, what if it's set on 20 and I've got to make a 28 yard shot? What do I need to do? You know what I mean? Or a 30 yard, or what if it's set on 30? I mean, I don't stand out there for 20 hours setting it on the wrong yardage, but I just need a quick picture of what's going to happen if this, if I got it set on too much yardage or if I got it set on too little yardage, how high or low do I need to aim if that absolutely has to happen. And another thing we see a lot is people, especially with longer bows, and they got some sort of a bar in front of their stand, and then they draw back way down, and when they shoot, their cam rolls over and nails that tree stand and either derails it, blows it up, warps the cam. Be careful.
Yeah.
That's why I still think if you're like, especially, well, I like to go practice either way, but like if you're using a climber, get in the backyard, shoot your bow out of a climber. If you can go to where you're hunting at a couple weeks before the season starts and throw out a block target, shoot out of the stand, because you never know, there might be a limb you don't see or the angle. I just don't think many people shoot from an angle and then they get up there and hit crazy shots and they think, oh, it was the broadhead, it was the bow, it was the peak twisted, it was the quiver fell off, it was the sun in my eyes, it was the too cold, it was too hot. I get tired of hearing it.
Oh yeah, I mean, I'll be the first one. I've made bad shots before.
Oh, I've made bad shots.
Bad decision. Should have, been a little bit too dark. Should have never took the shot. But that adrenaline's pumping. Like, okay, and you just make a bad decision. I mean, swallow your pride and own up to it if you do. I mean, like Jeremy said, practice how you tree stand. Yeah. I mean, and here's another thing: practice shooting in the seated position.
Yeah, anything that might happen while you're hunting, definitely practice it ahead of time. Even well, I don't like to hunt in the rain. I try not to, but if you go hunt in the rain with like a raincoat and all that crap on, here's what happened to a guy I know real well. He was hunting, had this big baggy raincoat on. Deer comes out, big nice 8-pointer if I remember right. He shoots, the string catches his big old sleeve, makes all kind of racket, and this is no joke. The deer looks up at him as the arrow is en route, and the arrow hit him square between the eyes, killed the deer. Believe it or not. Oh, I mean, I guess you shoot it in the head, it would, but that was just a lucky. It hit him between the eyes, and I guess got the old brain or something. I don't know, but he said that deer blowed a couple times, and blood just blew out of its nose, and he killed it. And but that was just luck, you know what I mean? Go if you're gonna have a raincoat on, or if it's cold and you're gonna have a big coat, shoot with it on. I used to always keep an arm guard in my bag because I'm gonna have some kind of jacket on. I want to keep that thing pinned back to where it's not going, you know what I mean? It's not going to affect my shot. But anyway.
If you cheat, take an old pair like a black dress sock, cut the toe out of it, and you can pull it right over your arm sleeve.
Yep.
And it'll keep that jacket tight. I got one as a black sock that I keep in my bag for a spare, and then I've got one in my safety harness. If you're not wearing a safety harness, please do yourself a favor and go get one.
Oh man, that's no joke. I know 2 people now. One was a super close buddy, Daryl, and Daryl fell out of a tree. Actually 3 now I think about it. Chris Powell.
Yeah.
Daryl fell out of a tree, a lock on, it broke, and my other buddy Travis found him. Said Daryl was trying to call somebody, but his phone was covered in blood to where the touch screen wasn't working. They flew in a helicopter and all this stuff, and they said literally minutes later Daryl would have been dead. He was in the hospital and in rehab and all that for months, and I went and seen him and I was like, wow. And he had so many pins and stuff put in his arms and hands and legs and all this stuff. He still has all these pains from it. And then Chris got up in his stand, said he'd been sitting there a little bit, said he just had pulled his phone out, his wife or somebody had texted him, and said just bam, the strap broke, down he went, same type of story, had all sorts of surgeries. And then Dan Renner, his brother Gary, he fell off his stand, broke his back, belly crawled up to the highway, flagged somebody down. Dan's hunting with him, but way off. He hears a helicopter landing, so he gets down. Gary had the keys to the truck. Dan's stranded, hour and a half down the road with nobody there. By the time he gets there, the helicopter's gone, the cops or whoever, ambulance, all of them's gone. So I forget, he had to flag like a car down and get somebody's phone. It was a mess. But anyway, use a safety harness. I've seen too many people get hurt, and I mean like close to death hurt.
I had a stand fall with me because I was like, man, I used to climb in the stand, get up there, kick my feet up, and go to sleep. Yep. I never thought twice about it.
Me too.
And then I had one, the seat fell on me, and it pinned me to my foot piece. Thank goodness the foot piece held up. But
I remember I've had some of the feet pieces just randomly fall, and it was scary, but I always had them tied off or whatever. I could get it back up. And then it was in an old Brent Hunt, matter of fact, and I used to always like climbing like a pine tree because it would dig in better.
Yeah.
But I was in some sort of an oak tree one day, just sit, like you say, kick back. And I bet I went down, it probably went but about a foot, but I thought I was a goner, and I was like, whoa.
Yeah, so just no matter how much of Superman you think you are,
be safe.
Be safe. I mean, I know if you buy a tree stand, I know they come with that little harness that is aggravating as sin to put on.
Get you like a hunter safety system type thing. They're comfortable, you know what I mean? Like if you do fall, it's not like that. I mean, use the cheap one if you got to, but that cheap one kind of hurts. But the hunter safety system is real nice and keeps you contained good. And some of them have the things where you can descend. And it's just super nice.
I mean, I've got a wife and a 3-year-old at home, and when I go hunting, that's the first thing I put on when I get out of my truck. And I need to invest in the lifeline where you can, you use it to climb up and descend.
Let people know, hey, I'm going hunting.
This is where I'm going to be at.
All that stuff, because like old Dan, Joker he's way down the road, had to flag somebody down. He's out there left, it's just a mess. But anyway, be safe, definitely.
Yep.
I guess we've talked for too long here. shoot us some comments if you're watching on YouTube, or text us. Again, that text line, you can text a question or what you want us to talk about, or call it and it'll, do some sort of a voicemail beep, and then you can ask or whatever on the line, and I'll actually put that clip into the podcast. And that number is 843-560-9898. Give us some questions for the next one. And this is, what was this, podcast 7?
Podcast 7.
Hopefully by podcast 10, we've got our whole soundboard mess set up, and it'll be cool because like when we go to the ATA show, we can set up some sort of thing and do a little podcast. We've been hearing people talk about us doing live stuff. Mm-hmm. That's pretty much in the works. I think I've been kind of sticking to this schedule as I can. I've been putting the podcast out on Wednesdays, and I've been putting other videos out on Sundays, like tuning videos and all that. Now, I missed a couple tuning videos because we were so backed up, we just didn't have time, but we're going to get back on that schedule. And then I thought about doing maybe a Tuesday or Thursday night, or even a Friday, I don't know if I'd do it Friday night, live feed, and putting it at the same time, putting it on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, all that, just to see what y'all think. I know I did the one live, we were making strings one night, and it was kind of late, and we had a ton of viewers on there, and that was pretty impressive. So I just thought about maybe the last hour of the day on whatever, Tuesday night or Thursday night, just firing up a live camera, and you see what you see and hear what you hear, and we can try to keep up. We may be making strings or fletching arrows or tuning bows or sitting here talking or whatever.
Yeah.
Just kind of hanging out. So we'll think about that, how we're going to do it. But looks like this is about a 50-minute podcast, a little bit longer than normal. That's another thing we got to ask was, hey, how about instead of 20, 30 minutes going like an hour? So we're close to it.
Yep.
That's all I can think to talk about. We got this coming out, and then we got some guests coming up. And it should be some cool stuff. We'll have some good deer stories. Now it's cooling off. We'll have some good deer stories. And we'll go from there. But we appreciate y'all listening. Appreciate y'all watching. We really appreciate the bows that have been shipped in, and the arrows ordered, and the strings ordered. That's why we've kept doing them, because that was our plan. Hey, if we get a good many views and it affects our bottom line, sort of, we'll keep doing them, and it has. So appreciate it.
Yep.
And until next time, we'll see y'all. Y'all be safe in the deer woods.
Good luck.
Good luck. Y'all go slay the sad daddy. See y'all later.
See y'all.